However,
No synthesis.
no synthesis, and it is an actually fused bone. So there's only 37 skull bones in the boar. There's 38 skull bones in the dog. Okay, and that's the reason why. All right, so we divided them up into sections. Okay, starting with the external bones of the cranium. Everything is falling apart. Okay, so internally, starting most caudally, right? We had one bone. Occipital bone, which articulates with the atlas, which is C1, right? Cervical vertebrae 1, to form which joint? Atlanto-occipital joint. Okay. Then we follow that up, and we have the interparietal bones. Then just next to the interparietal bones, we have the parietal bones. Okay. And if you look closely, you can see where all of those little joints, known as sutures, are located. So that will kind of help you demarcate which bone is which. So from the parietal bones, if we go ventral, temporal bones. And what's unique about the temporal bones? What do we need to pay attention to on the temporal bones?
Zygomatic arch.
The zygomatic arch, so it does form the caudal portion of the zygomatic arch.
And the external acoustic meatus.
External acoustic meatus. Okay, the hole for your ears. Okay. What else about the temporal?
Temporomandibular.
Temporomandibular joint. Okay, so it's also where the mandible is going to be articulating. So the temporal bone is very, very important. Okay, lots of things going on there. All right, then we moved rostral from the parietal bones to the frontal bones, which house the, well, it's definitely the inside of the orbit, but also frontal sinuses. Okay, right, and they're hollow. So if I chip that out, I'd be able to. Gosh, it's not funny. Okay, so yes, the frontal bones. All right, so those are the external bones of the cranium. Put it up, right? So if we look through the occipital, what is that hole called?
Foramen
magnum. Okay, and that's where your spinal cord is exiting. Okay, so when I look through there, what am I looking for as the internal bone of my?
The sphenoid?
Not the sphenoid, the one that I said bleeds. It's got the sinus that when you intubate a horse. Ethmoid. Okay, the ethmoid bone. So if you look deep in there, you're going to see that kind of trabeculate, kind of spiculated thing. That's the ethmoid sinus. So when you tube a horse, if you hit that, you're going to get aggressive nosebleeds, right? Then we have the sphenoid bone, which is kind of that central bone running. We see it on the floor here. It's just that central bone that's running right down the center here. Okay, right here. And it runs down the center. Okay, that's our sphenoid bone. All right, so that is the external and internal bones of the cranium. Then we have the bones of the ear, right? Malleus, incus, and stapes. Where are those? Rostrally going back caudally. External bones of the face. We started with the incisive bones, which do what?
Holds the incisors.
House the incisors. Okay, so and how many incisors are there in the dog? Upper incisors? What's your formula?
3.
There's 4 of them, I just counted.
1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. 6. Your formula is 3 over 3, right? 1 over 1. 4 over 4. 2 over 3 in the dog, right? I'm on video. Okay? Right? So that's our formula for the dog. Anybody get that wrong on the test today? I don't think I gave you the dog. I gave you the
pig.
How many total teeth are in the pig?
20.
Total.
24?
You said upper.
Oh, did I?
Upper, okay, yeah.
I just
I was like, what?
I
I was like, what?
my goodness, that's not cool. For the upper.
I was like,
No,
oh,
20
man, I got that
two.
calculation.
22 upper, 44 total, right? Because it's times 2 upper. So you added, it was 3 plus 3 plus 1 plus 2.
Something.
Something
Yeah.
like that. So it was 11 on the left side, or the right side, and then you multiply by 2 to get the total on the upper. And then if you added the bottom and times by 2, then it would be 4. So total teeth in the boar is 44. Okay. Sorry. All right. So getting back, so we had our incisive bones. God bless you. That's enough. Incisive bones, right? Housing our incisor teeth. Then the big bones on the lateral aspect, housing all the other teeth. Maxillary bones, okay, and they're housing the rest of the teeth, the canines and the cheek teeth. Okay, what's the hole right here that's important that we need to know?
Whoa.
Infraorbital foramen. Okay, that's a good spot for you to do nerve blocks when we're pulling teeth. Okay, then we go up top. Nasal bones, right? And they are going to basically determine what? The length of the snout, right? So brachiocephalic, cats and smush-faced dogs, right? Mesiocephalic, everybody, labs, normal. And dulciocephalic, and that's going to be your, Afghans and your
All cats are
greyhounds. And,
brachycephalic?
say it again?
All cats are brachycephalic? Really?
Technically.
Oh, because my cats have dumb baby squishy faces.
Well,
So
they're
they're,
like,
super brachycephalic?
right. Technically. I mean, normal cats still have a very, look
Pretty
at,
small.
I didn't break down. Right? So, it's still, they don't really have extreme nasal bones.
Right.
Your, Persians and your Himalayans, they're just,
Yeah.
somebody kicked them.
I love their squishy faces. They're so dumb.
You say they're so dumb? Oh my god. Okay. So, then we have our maxillary bones. So then what makes the
Zygomatic.
great zygomatic bone, right? So I might say, name this bone, what does it form, since everybody got it wrong on the homework? Zygomatic bone, temporal bone, zygomatic arch, okay? Then if we are looking where the little hole here is, where our tears come from, lacrimal bone, okay? Everybody?
We have to know the.
Okay. So we already talked about the turbinates, right? So when you look into the nose, or if you take off the nasal bones, right, we get a good view of them from there. Right, little scroll, kind of wispy looking bones, right? Those are our turbinates. Then what's the vomer bone? The nasal septum, right? So that's the bone that kind of splits it out. This guy's, it's kind of broke. Because we've been putting these things back on all along, but you can look in the other guys and you can see that. Okay, and then we had the palatine bones and the pterygoid bone. Can't get it back in now. Okay, so we didn't flip it upside down, but we already talked about excisive bone, right? Housing the upper incisors. All of this is the maxillary. Here's the palatine, right? So again, see the suture? Okay, so maxillary housing all of the teeth. So the maxillary is all in here and all in here. Palatine bones is just here. Okay, what's the hard palate made up of?
Maxillary and palatine.
Maxillary and palatine bones. Okay, that makes up the hard palate. And last but not least, our pterygoid friend, and that is the little pterodactyl bones, right up in here. So we have the sphenoid, and these are the pterygoids. If we look this way, I can pin it this way, pterygoid, or if we look this way, I can pin it in here. All of that is pterygoid. Okay, pterygoid, pterodactyl bone. Okay. Okay, I think that is